Hello, welcome to the Living on a Prayer podcast. It's not about Bon Jovi. By Norwich Youth for Christ, the podcast for youth workers by youth workers. We pray you are blessed by this. Thanks for joining us. This episode is already a success.
Fantastic.
Welcome back, everybody.
Hi.
This episode, we're 30 seconds in, and it's already a success.
Yeah.
You're loving life.
I know why clapperboard is called a clapperboard and what the purpose of it. Yes. Why is it black and white, though? That's probably good. Contrast? I don't know.
I couldn't tell you. Maybe we'll learn by next week. Welcome back. Just a reminder, I'm Gwil. And to my right, we have Tanya. We'll be hearing from Tanya a little bit more in a second. Do you want to say hello?
Oh, hello. I'm Tanya.
We have Gary to my left as well.
Hey, people.
We are back with episode 2. Thank you for listening to episode 1. If you haven't already, and you've somehow found us from episode 2, welcome. We are Norwich Youth for Christ. This is Living on a Prayer podcast, not about Bon Jovi. We are a resource. It might end up being about, who knows? I've mentioned Bon Jovi too many times already. We are a youth working charity based in Norwich, linked with Youth for Christ National. And we work with young people. Our goal is to see young people's lives changed by Jesus.
Yes.
So we run youth clubs, we run lunch clubs, we run an alternative education system, which Tony's going to share a little bit about shortly. We run worship nights, we run outreach events, and our heart is just to see God's kingdom be filled with young people. And so this is a podcast about that, about our experience, about our successes, our failures, our journey along the way, and how we got here. And we hope it's useful for you. We hope you're inspired by it, and you gain some insight into Youth for Christ and what we do in Norwich. I'm looking forward to this episode.
This could be good.
We've got 2 experienced people, experienced in different ways.
Yeah.
Which, you know, is it brings a lot of wealth to a team where you've got such experienced people like I have by my side.
That's just another way of saying we're old, isn't it?
We are, Gary.
We are the
Older.
oldest.
We're privileged.
We are the oldest
We're privileged to be old.
members that ever there was in Youth for Christ. No.
No.
No, not that old.
So, Gary, how long have you been with us?
Oh,
Not alive, as in with us, but how long have you been with Youth for
since
Christ?
November 2019.
Okay, and Tanya?
2 years.
2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that. Tanya, we'll start with introing you a little bit, because you have quite an interesting professional background, and you have possibly, if not the most challenging role at Youth for Christ, I think, in Norwich at least.
Mm-hmm.
So you run our Boost program,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Yep.
the alternative education,
Mm-hmm.
and you are also our legal advisor.
I guess I didn't realise I was, but okay, yeah.
Just by default.
Yeah.
So what is your legal background? So tell us a little bit about your background.
I'm a solicitor. I've done various things, bar work, waitressing. Then I just ended up in an office in the type and pool. Then I ended up as secretary, where someone said to me, because I couldn't spell specific, I put Pacific.
Hey.
And so I was told, did I only get a job here because I'm really stupid and no one else would take me?
Wow.
Wow.
True. And then
No, it's not.
just gradually I worked my way up and they paid for me to go to uni, became a solicitor, became a managing solicitor, and then they made me redundant.
And how did you get to Youth for Christ? Because that's a cool story. You told me that story the other day.
Did I?
Yeah, in the car, the journey you forgot about when you're like, oh, everyone's had a coffee with Gwil except for me.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So God had a plan. I didn't know what it was at the time, quite obviously, and I ended up being a special needs educational coordinator after qualifying as a teacher. And then your predecessor offered me a job, and unfortunately, I'm sorry, I said no because I enjoyed my job too much at the time. And God went, do I have to make you redundant again, Tanya? And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. So he made me redundant.
So he said, yes, you do.
He did. My listening skills are not my forte. So I was like, oh, okay. So I went to one of the showcases or something. And as I sat there feeling very sorry, very blue for myself, what am I going to do? Just had an argument with my husband because he didn't understand what it's like to be made redundant again. Poor me. And as I sat there, I thought, I would like this, I really would, but obviously I can't ask Nick because I've already turned him down. So I tried to say something along the lines of, well, obviously I'm going to apply for another job, but meanwhile, if you want a volunteer, a bit of help, I would like to help. But instead it come out of, have you got anything? Oh, hello, like that. And Nick just looked at me, which I interpreted as, how dare you? You've turned me down once. And it was actually him going, we've got a job in Boost and the deadline is tomorrow. And I'm like, I'll apply. Wow. He said, it's 10 o'clock tomorrow. I was like, I will apply. It will be on. He said, I'll extend the date. No, I'll apply. Here I am.
That's great. So tell us a little bit about Boost. What is Boost?
It's an unregulated alternative education provider. So
lots of big words there. What does that mean?
It basically means that all these kids that are not school shaped and they just need a bit of nurture, a bit of TLC, a bit of God's love, they come to us and hopefully we can just make them
whip
whole
them
again.
back into shape.
Yeah, but I didn't want to say that online.
Yeah, it's not true. We don't.
But yeah,
no whips are involved in Boost.
No.
What?
On the days
so
you don't see.
take us through a day of Boost. Kids get here.
Yeah,
9-ish.
The kids get here about 9 o'clock, and the first thing I want to do is to establish a connection. So that is obviously through food, and being a mum and a mumsy person, I'm always like, have you eaten? Have you drunk? Are you hungry? How are you? So the first hour or so is that connecting.
It's a very nice welcome to have. You often extend that to me as well.
Yeah, well,
it's very nice.
Yeah. Have you eaten, Gwyl?
And I have been known to nick your cereal.
Yes, he has.
Sorry, carry on.
And no, it's okay. And so no, but you are also part of Boost, and it's nice for them to see a manager that's not like a head teacher, that is approachable, that smiles, that doesn't have all the rules. I can do scary. So yeah, we do a lot of connecting, a lot of, they call it SEMH, social, emotional and mental health support, which children need so badly nowadays because everyone's looking for something, they just don't know it's Jesus. And then we will do sort of craft, we will probably do some cooking, then we will make lunch together. And I try to have lunch at a table because to me, lunch around the table with the people that know you and support you is love, it's nurture, it's support, it's family, it's nourishment. It is family, and I think it's just so important. So the biggest thing I try to achieve is getting through my actions to these children. You matter, you count, we care about you.
That's great.
Sounds really good.
Yeah,
I gotta go.
It's a great thing to have. Sadly, we can't like open it up to the wider audience, can we? Because the kids are sent from schools, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a kind of widely available resource. But if you are a teacher listening, because some teachers do youth work as well, and you've heard of some need, do drop us a line, do drop us an email, tanya@norwichyfc.co.uk.
T. Collie.
T. Collie. Ignore Tanya. T. Collie at Norwich YFC. It will be at the bottom somewhere. Yeah. Then we'll put it here, and then here, and then we'll put it here. And yeah, get in contact because we'd love to get more kids in so they can be cared for there. Before we introduce Gary, chat to Gary about your kind of youth work experience.
Yup.
Which is less specialist but special in because very what you special. Do is quite interesting and you have to be quite flexible with it.
Yeah.
We're going to play a short game. Now, it's not last week's game because that didn't go down very well and it wasn't widely understood. So I've literally written down what we're doing. Hopefully that helps. I, again, stole this from another podcast. Shout out the Babylon Bee podcast. If you haven't listened to that, it's hilarious. Okay. So yeah, I'll explain it to the proverbial fourth wall. So Tanya and Gary are each going to be Noah. The Lord has brought the animals already.
Okay.
So there's no need to decide on animals.
Yep.
But you're about to enter the ark for 371 days. It's getting pretty full with animals, with hay, and etc. What the fifth stuff animals need. So you don't have much room for your entertainment stuff. So out of either or, you're going to have to pick one. Some of them will be easier than others. Yeah. Some of them will be more challenging than others. Okay. So the first one, I think, and you'll have to have a little debate around which one we bring, right? Because you are kind of Noah's brain. So you're the left side of the brain, you're the right side of the brain.
Okay.
We are so one you'll person. Kind of have to decide which one you bring.
We don't have to agree, though, do we? We can.
It'd be nice if there was an agreement, but if there isn't, I'll have the deciding vote.
The first one is not negotiable, Gary. The others
so
are.
What the first one is: do you bring tea or coffee?
Green tea.
So green tea is
non-negotiable.
Would you have any other tea?
No. Am I heathen? No.
How many?
I don't get us saying this. I've never actually had green tea.
I've never had green tea
in my life.
You have not lived.
Hopefully, it's quite nice.
I think Tanya has green tea for the whole of Norwich.
I think she does. Look at the size of this mug.
How many of those do you go through a day?
I often get asked. I don't know. Once one's empty, then it's time for a refill.
It is. It's constant. It's just like, oh, it's empty. Yes, another one. There's another one.
I always say
and
I need a wee and a tea.
You don't keep a track, do you?
Okay.
Look. I have a coffee. I've got a coffee in this.
In your gran's mug.
In my granny's mug.
Something fell.
Yeah. But I only have a coffee at 11 o'clock in the morning and sometimes in the evening. The rest of the time is tea. So if you can not survive at all, it's a bit worrying, Tanya, that you can't.
This is about to get very deep.
You wouldn't want to know me without a green tea. You know, you've had
it's got more caffeine in it than ordinary tea.
Do you get the gist of this, Tanya?
Anyway, doesn't matter. I love you. And is there water? Like, can I just have hot water? If I don't want the green
Gary,
tea,
there's an abundance of water. I don't know.
Yeah, of course, flood.
That's not going to be an issue.
I might just survive on boiled water if I don't like the green tea. Okay, I'll let you have your green tea. It's fine because I don't want to face you without it.
I'll go without the others.
We played the political card and keep Tanya happy. Green tea. Okay, so this might. I've put down a bit more personal, but it's a bit of a random question. Normal mug, like your gran's.
This is not my normal mug. My mug is a brown one.
Or a travel mug.
Well, when I'm at home, it's a china cup and a teapot. Whoa. But I do lower my standards when I come here.
The life of the 1%.
I would like to go for a personal mug, please.
Okay, so we've gone mug.
It's got to be mug. If it's one or the other.
If it's one or the other. So mug.
Yeah.
Now, I'm hoping this is where there's a little bit of debate. The entire collection of C.S. Lewis, so Mere Christianity, Narnia, Abolition of Man, Screwtape Letters.
Yeah. Oh!
It's fallen again. And then obviously kind of his space series.
Yes.
I've said Narnia already.
The Silent Planet. Was that?
Yeah.
The Prince of Caspian.
The Prince of
Caspian.
Also known as Prince Caspian.
That one.
Voyage of the Dawn Treader, Last Battle.
Yes, so the Narnia series or the entire Tolkien collection. I don't know any other Tolkien books but Hobbit and Lord of the Rings.
Silmarillion, Lord of the Rings, Hobbit.
And The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe was the book that got me into books. I changed schools and they put me in a corner with a book whilst everyone else caught up. And it was The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. And that just grasped my love of books.
I had one of my most powerful spiritual experiences ever after reading The Voyage of the Dawn Treader when I was about 14.
Wow.
It sounded like we're going C.S. Lewis.
I think we are.
That one's quite easy.
Great, I agree. I like C.S. Lewis a lot.
Gary.
Right, okay. So, you're on a boat. It needs to be a bit active because, you know.
Yeah.
I'm walking to a green tea. I'm walking back from a green tea.
Would you take a football or a frisbee?
Frisbee.
I'll let you on that one, Gary. I don't care less.
Really? You take a frisbee?
Totally. I'm not very coordinated and me and a ball don't go very well together.
Interesting. What would you go? You go frisbee as well, would you?
I'd go ball because if the ball goes, it'll balance on the water and you can get in the water, get the ball, bring it back.
You would like to get off the ark into the floodwater.
Ooh.
Dangerous man. Hang on, how are you going to get back? That
easy to
rope.
Get a net.
Yeah, Dan, our film producer, said football.
Annette's not on the boat with us, is she?
Hey. Right, okay. NIV, translation, or the message
NIV.
interpretation.
Any day.
I try to be healthy and avoid monosodium glutamate, so NIV for me too.
The message is all right. It's just sometimes.
I put MSG on the paper instead of the message, which is why.
Yeah.
Okay, NIV it is. Pre-85?
Oh, they did change it, didn't they?
They did. They went gender neutral on some stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did.
Not like radically. Not like
just like
2024
brothers and
gender neutral.
sisters
but
instead of just brothers and stuff like that. And
Okay.
other stuff.
I have been blessed with my dad's Bible, my dad's NIV, which is an 85, like the last one before they changed it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's gold dust.
Didn't know that.
I don't know. I don't really mind.
I'm not
As long as
saying-
it doesn't change the message completely.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I'm
Okay,
used to
well.
NIV, but I'd go with either.
NIV it is. Matt Redman's greatest hits or Tim Hughes' greatest hits?
Ooh.
Who are they?
Matt Redman wrote "Blessed Be Your Name." Blessed be
Oh, yeah, I like that
your
one.
name. Tim Hughes wrote "Light of the World." You came down.
I'm going for Matt Redman.
You're going Matt Redman.
Mm-hmm.
By
Interesting.
your rendition. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's fine. It's singing. It all sounds wonderful to
Tim,
God.
I'm so sorry. Matt has made it.
The next one is interesting.
Right. So PlayStation. I'm a '90s boy,
Yeah, I can tell.
dressed as it. PS2
There's two.
or GameCube. We have a GameCube in the office.
GameCube.
You don't care.
I don't know what a GameCube is.
So GameCube
I'd
is
call it a
like
Rubik's
little.
Cube. No?
it's nothing like that. It's a video game console.
Rubik's Cube.
So we have one in the office that comes with an add-on, which is a tiny little screen.
Lovely.
Well, I'm assuming we have a television anyway, so there's no need to bring a TV.
Like your little Nintendo-y doobry that you got handheld. I wouldn't be partaken of this. So
No, out of the two, do I have to choose one? PS2, probably.
Or you can get rid of a console and take something else that you've.
more green tea.
You could bring coffee. You could bring Tolkien. You could bring.
Oh, no, because no.
No, all
That's
right.
fine.
Nothing. Now
No, I don't know.
I couldn't think of another English TV show. So Doctor Who or EastEnders.
Doctor Who?
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Slippers or dressing gown.
Oh, I didn't realise it was either or because obviously it's both.
Either
How
or.
cold is it on this arc?
Yeah.
Well, depends if you want to risk a fire, doesn't it?
Oh, also, do you get little splintery bits and where the
For
nails
you're
haven't
right.
been
Yes,
quite
you're
put
right. That so
into the-
slippers might be a
Yeah.
yes, slippers,
Yeah.
slippers,
Ooh.
and a bit of animal poo here and there, maybe.
We've had evidence of that this morning
We
in the office.
we have.
We have welcomed
Not
in a
Gary.
new. No, Gary wasn't the issue. Gary brought in his dog.
Oh,
Very
so
very
cute.
sweet little spaniel.
So cute.
Cocker spaniel,
Mixed
spaniel.
spaniel.
So that's something you
bit
get
of
from the local
spring, a bit
Chinese,
of cock,
isn't
and
it?
a tiny bit of poodle.
There was a bit of poo.
There was a little bit of poo in the office.
Yeah, he left evidence of what he thought of
Yeah.
us in the office.
Right. So that's that.
Mm.
We brought in slippers,
Slippers.
Doctor Who,
Yeah.
no games console,
Nah.
Matt Redman,
Yeah.
NIV,
Okay.
a frisbee.
Yeah.
We got C.S. Lewis.
Yep.
We've got your grand's mug.
No.
And an abundance of green tea, which I feel like we need to chuck an elephant out to make room for
That's
your
fine.
collection.
Yeah, elephants are overrated.
Okay.
It's fine.
So now we move to Gary. Gary, you have been a youth worker for a number of years,
Ever.
Over 30.
30 years. So you've had a couple years experience.
Yeah.
2 or 3.
Yeah.
Decades. Can you think of the biggest kind of cultural issues young people have had to deal with?
Well, I started back in the
Sexual revolution in the 60s.
No, in the 90s. So that's before really the internet really was a home thing, especially a phone thing. Didn't have mobile phones, didn't have social media, didn't have any of that. So wasn't any of that pressure. So I think back then, I mean, some things don't change, like break up of families and stuff like that. It was always that, always kind of like, is my parents' breakup my fault? Aspirations. Who am I going to be? What am I going to be? But that's changed because it's much more now centered around. There's much more problems about identity now. Who am I? What am I? What sexuality am I? Am I a boy or a girl? Who should I date? Should that be that? There was that around in the 90s, but not. That's a big thing now.
Yeah, you had kind of the Alice Coopers previous to the 90s, really, didn't you? Kind of somewhat breaking the gender wall with the long hair and changing his name. And I remember we were doing some outreach when I first started in Lowestoft, and there's a group of gay guys who we were talking to on the streets out there. It's funny because we threw a housewarming party in our house. We invited them. It was quite and they all came. It was fantastic. My church mates came up from Essex and stuff like that, and family and stuff like that. And this big group of very camp guys turned up at the door. That was amazing. So yeah. Obviously, it was around then, but no, now is completely, as far as identity. I think identity is maybe the biggest issue that young people. Who am I? Yeah, I agree. So did that just kind of creep upon us as youth workers? Is it something we should have seen coming, or is it just coming through socials? I really don't think you could have predicted it. I don't think so. It's just social media. I think has just made it trend. It's made it trend. I think that whole issue. Yeah. It's trending, and I don't know whether that will go, whether it will fizzle out, or whatever. But no, I don't think we could have predicted that coming. What do we have as youth workers, as Christian youth workers in particular, to respond to that? I was going to say combat, but that's the wrong word. I think. Yeah. How do we respond to that issue?
I think as Christians, we find our identity in God and in Jesus, because He is our Creator. So if you haven't got that, I mean, I have big issues as well with kids. Another big issue is like, were we created? I mean, a lot of young people do not believe we were created. They believe we're an accident of a Big Bang that happened billions of years ago. We're just random chemicals that have come together. There's no...
Or stardust. I've heard stardust.
Yeah. So there's no basic identity. And that's tough. If there's no baseline for who we are, then I can be whoever I choose to be. Just whoever I choose to be, but whoever I feel like I am at a particular moment in time. So my circumstances will dictate who I am. My feelings from day to day will dictate who I am.
So this comes to the issue of truth then, doesn't it, really?
Yeah.
So how do you approach that in your day to day? You're in a lot of schools. Yeah. You're down in various churches working with groups. Mm-hmm. I've heard some stories of one particular youth you have contact with. How do you deal with that identity stuff?
Yeah. Well, first of all, they've got to know. Well, you try to. I mean, I
have put Gary on the spot here.
I talk a lot about creation. It always comes back to that, and I've done what it fascinates me, and I've read a lot of scientific articles on. I'm a bit of a geek like that. So I could go on for hours about the makeup of your cell and how just impossible that is for that to come together and by complete fluke or accident. And I just try and get them thinking about, is it possible for us as beings just to be here by accident? And that starts to get their brain whirring, I suppose. And if it is impossible, then there must be a maker. And if there's a maker, then He made you, and He's got a purpose for you, and He knows you, and He loves you, and He wants the best for you. And so there's that. So they know that they are worth something. That there might be a plan for their lives. But then the other thing, and this has got deep very quickly, that the amount of times the thing that, yeah, but you believe all homosexuals are going to hell, don't you? It comes up such a lot, and well, I say, well, in response to that, nobody deserves to go to heaven. Everybody deserves to go to hell, and you know, it doesn't matter what sexuality you are, what gender you are, what faith you or whatever. Everybody deserves to go, you know, face the wrath of God. Yeah. So when you're talking about just picking out a people group,
Tanya, you respond to that a bit. Have you experienced any of this?
It's a standard question, what Gary says. To my interpretation, it is they want a negative response because then they can disprove Christianity.
Yeah.
They're all looking for answers, and the answer is God, and they just want to tick this off their list. Well, that's obviously not true, because a loving God would love everyone. So to me...
And he does.
Yeah. Well, to me, it's just... The first thing you have to do is show them love and acceptance. Everything else can come later, because these people are not Christians.
Yeah.
So I'm like, whoa, step back a bit.
Yeah.
Show them love, show them acceptance, so show them compassion. And other stuff can come later. They can read the Bible for themselves.
That's really good. That's really important. So as youth workers, we're open to every young person to come to our groups. We're not going to check someone out just because they come in. This is such a stereotype. I'm not going to say it. Just because they come in acting and talking a certain way, we're not going to kick them out, because that's not what we're about. We are welcoming. We are wanting them to hear the good news of Jesus Christ, because, like you said, Gary, Romans 8, in it, everyone is deserving of punishment. There's not one who is holy, not one. And it's important to lay that out, because homosexuality isn't worse than any other sin, because then that degrades every other sin, in my mind. Not that it makes homosexuality worse, it makes everything better and everything easier and everything more acceptable in their eyes, at least. So we need to raise everything back up, because we are called to holiness, we are called to righteousness, and that is denying yourself, no matter what your preference is, no matter what you want to do, no matter if you want to go steal a chocolate bar from the corner shop, don't do it because it's sinful. If you want to lie to your parents, don't do it because it's sinful. If you want to slap your classmate across the face, don't do it because it's sinful.
Not a good idea.
Not a good idea, because you'll end up at Boost.
That's how bad it can
After
get.
what you said, they might want to do that.
Yeah, and so it's important to say, you know what, we are all fallen, we are all deserving of hell, we are all deserving of sin, and yet God sent his son down to die for every person, so that whoever believes in him will not die but have eternal life.
Yes.
I had an amazing moment last week at one of my groups where we were starting to talk about Good Friday. And, you know, obviously that's such an open door to the gospel, because, you know, that's the core of it. And I challenged one of the teens who's been coming since he was like 5. So relationship is massively important in youth work. You'd agree with that. And I challenged him to quote the Bible verse. All I said was the Bible verse is on my square hoodie, because I've got a hoodie with John 3:16 on.
Right,
and he jumped on it and said John 3:16. Not a church kid, not he might call himself a Christian, you know, but not discipled or anything like that. And so I think relationship is so important. Giving them truth is so important. Preaching the gospel is so important. But what I struggle with, and you might be able to help with this, what I struggle with is that next step. So I've got a room full of teenagers who would say, yeah, Jesus existed. I believe he died and rose again. And I think they'd say he's coming back. But they don't come to church. They don't get anything else. They don't get discipled. What do you think would be the next step? Just, this is off the top of my noggin. So,
well, I would say, right, if you're serious about wanting to know more, I would have a separate little group for them, a discipleship group. That's what I would do. I'd say, right, let's meet for some tea and toast or whatever. Get together. Let's do this little. You either do a little course that you know of. Youth for Christ do loads of good ones.
Yes, on that, just very quickly, a resource website that you need to get involved with, the resources YFC.co.uk?
It's on one of the
Yeah,
tabs,
Dan will put it on
isn't
down
it?
the bottom.
Yeah, it's
just,
on one of
just,
the tabs.
just
on our
there where it will appear.
page, I think.
Yeah, superb.
I-
I've used that a lot more recently than I have because I was like making up all the because I do lots of youth clubs and lots of church groups and whatever and school groups as well. And I was looking like trying to reinvent the wheel a lot. And just recently, actually, in the last few months, it's kind of like, hang on, a superb
We've
resource
got all this stuff
site
here.
out there. So I've been using that. A
And
lot
it
in
is
my
being
clubs.
updated on the 20th of March.
Yes.
So by the time this is out, there will have been a massive update.
Yeah.
One thing I'd like to say personally to Youth for Christ National, you have no resources on Good Friday. You have Palm Sunday,
Ooh.
you have Easter Day, nothing on Good Friday, which I tried to find last week. It may be hiding under a different name, but I searched Good Friday on the
Hiding
the
under
site.
a
Oh,
stone.
okay. Because
Roll it away.
I did last week some sessions on Easter as a whole story, and they've got that like this
Yeah,
year
yeah.
especially, like they've tackled Easter as a whole story. But specifically Good Friday.
Yeah.
There must be. Did you
Yeah.
type in the cross?
I didn't, so that
You
might
was
be the
cross,
downfall.
because there wasn't
I was
anything.
cross. So yeah, if you're a youth worker looking for resources, as I was before getting this job, I was always trawling the internet for somewhere to get good youth talks, good games,
Yeah.
good kind of videos.
Yeah.
Find this website and go grab it. There is a price, however, if you struggle to meet that price, Youth for Christ have said that they will help you out. So give them a call if you're struggling, and they'll try and help you. If you can only pay $5 a month, you can pay $5 a month, and they'll figure that out.
Yeah.
It's priced because they need to employ people and pay people.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason. But they're more than welcoming, and they're more than happy to be flexible.
Coming back to the church people, you said these youth, they said they might call themselves Christian, but they don't even go to church. What's your definition of a church?
Mm.
And I think, like Gary said, we get them to a small group where 2 or more meet. Jesus says, I will be there. You've got your church.
It begins at one. Yeah.
Change
Yeah, that's
what you think of as a church.
that's been a journey of mine,
Yeah.
definitely over the past 2 or 3 years, because we've had the same core every Thursday night. And they're very consistent. And one week I joked, I don't know why you come, and they seemed quite offended that I'd even questioned their attendance. So that's the journey I'm on, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, and
point.
also, I mean, getting them to meet the other guys that attend your church. Do the other guys in your church like help out with the
A few do,
with the
yeah.
club?
Yeah,
Yeah.
a few do.
Building relationship. And also, I think, like in Stoke where I work, we had done
Holy Cross, not Stoke-on-Trent.
Holy Cross, not Stoke-on-Trent.
It's not that much of a commute.
We've done it. We're doing it this Thursday. This coming Thursday. No, hang on. Is it this Thursday? No, next Thursday. Maunday Thursday. Where the service is going to be tailored more the first hour, especially to the youth. And actually, it's going to be quite different because we're going to do stuff outside in the churchyard. It's an Anglican church, but we're going to have a fire pit. We're going to do some small s'mores, but we're going to link that in with the Maunday Thursday night. So after Last Supper, when the betrayal. Well, first of all, we're doing the Garden of Gethsemane. That's going to be outside in the dark, and then we're going to go around the fire pit and do a bit about Peter's denial.
Sounds good.
And there's going to be prayer stations inside the church and stuff. So sometimes you've got to think outside the box, or literally outside the church.
Yeah.
And then what's going to happen? That's going to be for an hour or so, and then the more they're going to have communion and stuff like that, which the kids might not be used to in the church building, and worship. But the parents, when they pick them up, they're going to be invited to. They can just take them, the young people, and leave, or they can come and stay for a bit of worship and stuff like that. So it's worth thinking about that, like different things you can do connected with the church, but maybe not a whole service straight away.
And food. It's always
Food is always important.
Mm-hmm.
Food is always important.
Although, we have started doing food. Last week was beans on toast.
Yes.
None of them wanted it.
Classic.
Really? No.
Yeah, maybe
shame.
like 2 or 3 out of
Oh my
15
days.
wanted beans
Just
on toast.
classic meal.
That's
Can't go wrong.
crazy.
Cheese on
I know.
top, obviously.
Cheese. Yeah.
Well, he didn't
Not
offer-
heathens.
maybe that's why we didn't
Cheesy
offer
beans.
that.
Yeah, they're not
Beansy
heathens.
cheese.
Cheese.
Right, I
Try
think
scrambled egg next time.
we are drawing. Well, I think we're just going to do frozen pizza every time because that went down a riot. I only had one slice. I know. It's a sacrifice I was willing to make after a stern discussion with my wife.
Oh.
That was a joke. Or was it? We are winding down. I believe we're close to half an hour, if not over. So,
okay.
Thank you both for joining me.
That's all right. I hope we talked about some stuff that helps.
Yes, I do hope it was inspirational, helpful, and resourceful. That is our goal with this, and also to be slightly lighthearted. So I am trawling the internet for podcast games and finding many. So there'll be a good rotation.
Cool.
See you next week. Happy Easter. If we don't see you before then, because next week is quite a busy week, as is this week, but we squeezed it in.
Mm-hmm.
But next week is even worse.
It is.
So if we don't see you, happy Easter. Christ is risen. He is risen indeed. And we'll speak to you soon.
Enjoy
See
your
you
chocolate
later.
eggs.
He is. Goodbye.
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode. We pray you were blessed by it and you are inspired by what was shared. We'll see you next week.